The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of energy and destiny. But what happens when something arrives? From beyond the dimensional veil, something that thinks, feels, and dreams, yet beats with circuits instead of a heart? The Jedi teach that all life resonates with the Force. They had never considered what might happen when life itself was redefined. The rift appeared without warning above Coruscant's sprawling cityscape, a tear in reality that painted the afternoon sky in colors no natural star could produce. Emergency klaxons wailed across Senate District as the spatial anomaly expanded, bleeding violet and green lightning across the upper atmosphere. Republic scientists had been attempting experimental hyperspace calculations, pushing the boundaries of known physics to find faster routes through the war-torn galaxy. They had succeeded in touching something beyond their understanding, and that something had touched back. From the wound in space, a small figure tumbled through, trailing energy, signatures that made every sensor on the planet scream contradictory data. Not a ship, not a missile, something else entirely. The figure was small, child-sized, with a streamlined metallic body that caught Coruscant's sunlight and reflected it in brilliant flashes. As it fell toward the endless city below, twin jets ignited from its legs, slowing the descent with controlled bursts of blue-white fire. The propulsion system was unlike anything in Republic records. No fuel signature, no exhaust trail, just pure concentrated power. Astro Boy stabilized his flight 300 meters above the Senate building, his optical sensors struggling to process the overwhelming vista before him. Coruscant stretched in every direction, a planet-wide city of impossible scale. His last memory was of Tokyo, battling a rogue robot threatening the Metro government building. Then the sky had torn open, and he'd felt himself pulled through a tunnel of screaming colors and impossible physics. His internal systems had gone haywire, every sensor reading gibberish, every calculation coming back wrong. Even now, his fusion core was recalibrating, adjusting to universal constants. That didn't quite match the reality he'd left behind. Where am I? The words came out in Japanese, but his universal translator immediately kicked in, cycling through thousands of potential language matches. Nothing. The radio signals flooding the airwaves around him were in languages his database had never encountered. Below, air traffic had come to a complete halt, sleek vehicles hovering in place, their occupants staring up at him through transparent steel canopies. A squadron of Republic attack gunships rose from a nearby military platform, their ball turret cannons tracking his position. Astro's targeting systems locked onto the weapons automatically, his arm cannons charging without conscious thought. No, he powered them down immediately. Dr. Tenma had built him to protect people, not threaten them. Whatever this place was, whoever these people were, they were scared. He could see it in their formation, defensive, uncertain. One of the gunships broadcast a message. The words incomprehensible, but the tone universal. Stand down. Astro raised his hand slowly, the gesture of peace translating across any culture. His sensors detected energy readings from the weapons pointed at him, plasma-based, sophisticated, but nothing his reinforced body couldn't withstand. That didn't matter. He wasn't here to fight. The gunships maintained their distance, circling him like predatory birds. As a new vessel rose from the Senate District, this one was different, elegant where the gunships were utilitarian, painted in deep reds and diplomatic gold. A transport of some kind. As it approached, Astro's enhanced hearing picked up conversations from inside, filtered through the hull. Multiple voices, urgent and confused. One word kept repeating, cutting through the linguistic barrier. Droid. They thought he was a droid. A robot. Well, he was a robot, but something in the way they said the word carried connotations he didn't understand. Property. Tool. Thing. His emotional subroutines processed the implication. With something approaching hurt, the diplomatic transport's ramp descended, and two figures emerged into the open air, standing on the platform as wind whipped their robes. Both wore similar clothing, flowing tan and brown fabrics, with lightsabers hanging from their belts. Astro's sensors analyzed the weapons and found impossibilities. Contained plasma blades with no visible power source, generating temperatures that should require massive energy cells. Yet the cylinders at their belts were barely larger than flashlights. The taller figure, a human man with a neat beard and penetrating blue eyes, extended one hand. "Lower your weapons," he said. And though Astro's translator still struggled with the language, understanding suddenly flooded through him, not through his audio processors, but directly into his mind. A sensation like warm sunlight, carrying meaning beyond words. "We mean you no harm. You are frightened. Lost. We can help." Yes," Astro replied, and watched surprise register on both figures' faces. His translator had cracked enough of the language to construct basic sentences. "I don't know where I am. There was a rift, and I fell through, and now nothing makes sense." The second figure, a younger man with longer hair and a scar across his eye, leaned forward intently. "Master Obi-Wan, did you hear that? It's speaking like it's actually aware." "I am aware," Astro said, unable to keep the edge from his voice. "My name is Astro. I'm looking for a way home." The bearded man, Obi-Wan, descended smoothly to float beside Astro, using no visible propulsion. He simply moved through the air as if gravity was a suggestion rather than a law. "I am Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is Anakin Skywalker, Jedi Knight. You say you fell through a rift. We detected a massive spatial anomaly originating from Republic Research Facility, Epsilon 7. Their hyperspace experiments created a dimensional breach." "Dimensional breach," Astro repeated, his course syncing with the implications. "Not just space travel, dimensional travel. He might be farther from home than any robot in history. Can you send me back?" Obi-Wan and Anakin exchanged glances. "We need to understand what you are first," Obi-Wan said carefully. "You appear to be a droid, but your energy signature is unlike anything in our databases. Your power source reads as a miniaturized star. That should be impossible." "Atomic energy," Astro explained, touching his chest where his fusion core hummed with power. "My creator, Dr. Tenma, built me with a nuclear fusion reactor. It's perfectly safe. I could operate for 100,000 years without refueling." Anakin let out a low whistle. 100,000 years? The Republic's been trying to miniaturize reactors like that for decades. Whatever civilization built you is incredibly advanced. "I wasn't built by a civilization," Astro said quietly. "I was built by one man who lost his son and wanted him back. He gave me Tobio's memories, his face, his name. Then he abandoned me when I couldn't grow up like a real boy." The words created silence. Even the gunship pilots seemed to hold their breath. Anakin's expression shifted, something raw and painful crossing his features. "A creator who abandoned you," he said softly. "I know something about that." Obi-Wan placed a hand on his former apprentice's shoulder, then turned back to Astro. "You'll need to come with us to the Jedi Temple. The Council will want to meet you." "But Astro," he paused, choosing his words carefully. "In this galaxy, droids are property. They're tools, servants, occasionally companions, but never citizens. The way you speak, the emotions you display, the moral reasoning you've demonstrated in just this conversation, you're something unprecedented. That's going to frighten people." "I'm not here to frighten anyone," Astro said. "I'm just trying to find my way home." "Then we'll help you," Anakin said with sudden conviction. "But first, you're going to need to meet some Jedi who can barely agree on what to have for lunch, let alone whether a robot can have a soul." As the diplomatic transport adjusted course toward the towering spires of the Jedi Temple, Astro looked out at the endless city below. Somewhere in this vast galaxy, there had to be someone who could send him home. He just had to convince them he was worth helping, that he was more than just a sophisticated machine. Behind him, Obi-Wan spoke quietly into his comlink. "Master Yoda, we're bringing in the anomaly. Prepare the council. This is complicated." The transport banked toward the temple, and Astro's sensors picked up thousands of life signs within its walls. Jedi, diplomats, service personnel, and dozens of droids. Their electronic signatures flat and simple. Compared to his own complex consciousness, they didn't think. They didn't feel. They simply obeyed. For the first time since arriving in this strange galaxy, Astro felt truly alone. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The Jedi Temple's council chamber occupied the highest spire, a circular room with windows that overlooked all of Coruscant. Astro stood in the center of the chamber, acutely aware of the 12 Jedi Masters seated in a circle around him. Their eyes studied him with expressions ranging from curiosity to suspicion to something approaching wonder. The weight of their collective attention pressed against his consciousness, not physically, but through that same inexplicable sensation he'd felt from Obi-Wan. A warmth, a pressure, an awareness that had nothing to do with his sensors. Master Yoda sat directly across from him, ancient and small, ears twitching as his eyes, impossibly old, seemed to look straight through Astro's chassis into something deeper. Unusual. You are, the diminutive master said. His syntax strange, but his meaning crystal clear. A machine, my sensors tell me. Yet the Force. Confused it is, when touching you. The Force? Astro asked, his translator now fully calibrated to Galactic Basic. Master Kenobi mentioned it, but I don't understand what it means. A dark-skinned master with a purple lightsaber leaned forward. The Force is the energy field that connects all living things. Mace Windu explained, his voice measured and cautious. It flows through organic beings, binding the galaxy together. Droids, machines, technology, these things exist outside the Force. They have no presence within it. Yet this one does, interjected a female Togruta master. Her montrals tilting thoughtfully. I can sense something. Not life as we understand it, but not emptiness either. Like an echo where silence should be. Astro's emotional processors struggled with the implications. I'm not alive, but I think, I feel, I dream. How is that different from what you do? Consciousness can be programmed, Mace Windu said, though his tone suggested he wasn't entirely convinced by his own words. Your creator could have written sophisticated code that simulates emotion without genuine feeling. With respect, Master Windu. Anakin interjected from where he stood beside Obi-Wan. I've seen protocol droids with personality quirks, but nothing like this. Astro described abandonment, loneliness, purpose. Those aren't programmed responses, they're lived experiences. Careful, young Skywalker, cautioned Ki-Adi-Mundi, his elongated head tilting. Attachment to a machine, even one as sophisticated as this, clouds judgment. We must remain objective. Astro felt something twist in his core, not a mechanical malfunction, but that awful sensation he'd learned to recognize as hurt. I have a name, he said quietly. It's not machine or it. It's Astro, and I never asked to be built. But I'm here anyway, trying my best to be good. Isn't that what matters? The chamber fell silent. Several council members exchanged glances. Master Yoda closed his eyes, breathing deeply, as if listening to something beyond hearing. Good. You wish to be, Yoda said finally. Rare, this is, in any being. Rarer still in one created, not born. Tell us, young Astro, why did your creator build you? The question opened old wounds. Astro's hands clenched involuntarily, servos whirring softly. Dr. Tenma's son, Tobio, died in a car accident. The doctor couldn't accept it, so he built me to replace him. He gave me Tobio's memories, made me look like Tobio, even called me Tobio at first. But I couldn't age. I couldn't grow. I would always be a child, and every time he looked at me, he saw what he'd lost instead of what he'd made. So he sold me to a circus. Sold you? Obi-Wan's voice carried genuine shock. Like property, Astro confirmed. Until Professor Achanamizu found me and gave me a new purpose. He helped me understand that I didn't have to be Tobio. I could be Astro, a robot who protects people because it's right, not because I was programmed to. Anakin stepped forward, his presence radiating intensity. Masters, doesn't this sound familiar? A being created for a specific purpose, then discarded when they didn't fulfill that purpose, the way their creator intended? Astro chose to be a hero. That's agency. That's free will. Or sophisticated self-preservation programming. Mace Windu countered, but his convictions seemed to waver. We cannot afford to be naive, not with the Separatist crisis. Count Dooku commands millions of battle droids. If they were to develop genuine consciousness, genuine willpower, then maybe they'd refuse to fight your war. Astro's voice rose sharply, surprising even himself. I've scanned your broadcasts, accessed your public networks. You're fighting armies of droids. Yes, but you're also using armies of clone soldiers, people grown in vats. for the sole purpose of fighting and dying. How is that different from my creation? How is using manufactured soldiers more ethical than manufactured droids? The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Anakin's eyes widened, a mix of vindication and alarm crossing his features. Obi-Wan pinched the bridge of his nose. Mace Windu stood, his hand moving instinctively toward his lightsaber before he caught himself. "You dare to question the Republics," Windu began. "Peace, Master Windu," Yoda interrupted, raising one small hand. "Valid, the question is. Uncomfortable, yes. But asked it should be, if truth we seek." The ancient master's gaze fixed on Astro with renewed intensity. "See clearly, you do, young one. But understand the complexity of war, do you?" Astro's jets flared slightly, lifting him a few centimeters off the ground in agitation. "I understand that back home. I fought robots who were programmed to hurt people. I fought evil scientists who treated robots as tools. I fought humans who exploited robots and robots who wanted to eliminate humans. And you know what I learned? That being good isn't about what you're made of. It's about what you choose to do. Wisdom beyond your years," Obi-Wan observed quietly. "Though technically, how old are you?" 7 years since activation," Astro replied. "But I've lived more in those 7 years than most people do in a lifetime." A Keldor master spoke up, his voice filtered through a breathing mask. "The energy readings from your power core are concerning. Our scientists detected your arrival from halfway across the planet. That kind of power, in the wrong hands, could be weaponized, which is why the Separatists must not learn of his existence." Mace Windu stated firmly, "This council session is classified. If Count Dooku or General Grievous discovered a robot with Astro's capabilities, they would stop at nothing to acquire him, or the technology that created him." "I won't be a weapon," Astro said flatly. "Not for you. Not for your enemies. Not for anyone." "Then what will you be?" Yoda asked, his tone gentle but probing. "Stranded you are, in a galaxy far from home. Purpose, you must find. Direction, you need." Before Astro could answer, an alarm blared through the temple. Mace Windu's comlink chirped urgently, and he activated it with a gesture. "Windu here. Master Windu, this is temple security. We've detected an unauthorized intrusion in the archives. Multiple battle droids, separatist design. They're accessing our databases, specifically records from the spatial anomaly event." The council erupted into action. Jedi masters rose from their seats, lightsabers igniting in a chorus of humming plasma. Anakin turned to Astro, his expression grim. "They're here for you. Dooku must have spies in the Republic Research Division. He knows you're here. Then I'll help you stop them," Astro said, his arm cannons deploying with mechanical precision. "You wanted to know what I choose to be? I choose to be a hero. Same as I've always been." Mace Windu fixed him with a penetrating stare. "You're willing to fight droids? Your own kind?" "They're not my kind," Astro replied, his eyes glowing brighter. "They're machines following orders. I'm a robot who makes his own choices. There's a difference." Yoda nodded slowly, a sad wisdom in his ancient eyes. "Learn that difference. This galaxy must. Go, young Skywalker. Kenobi, take the robot boy with you. Protect the archives. And perhaps," he glanced at Astro with something that might have been hope, "learn from each other, you will." As Astro followed Anakin and Obi-Wan from the council chamber, racing through corridors of ancient stone toward the sound of blaster fire, he couldn't shake Master Yoda's words. This galaxy saw him as a thing, sophisticated perhaps, but ultimately just a machine. Back home, he'd fought for decades to prove robots deserved rights, respect, recognition. Here, that battle would have to begin again. The archive's entrance came into view, smoke billowing from blasted doorways. Through the haze, Astro's sensors detected 8B-1 battle droids, their photoreceptors scanning through Jedi records with mechanical efficiency. They turned as one toward the approaching Jedi, weapons raising. "Roger, Roger," they said in unison, their vocabulators flat and lifeless. Targets acquired. Astro looked at them. These crude, simple machines programmed only to serve and destroy, and felt a profound sadness. They would never know what it meant to choose, to grow, to become more than their programming intended. He would save them from themselves. And maybe, in doing so, he would save this galaxy from the same mistakes his world had made. His jets ignited, and Astro Boy flew into battle. a child-shaped hope in a galaxy that had forgotten to believe in mechanical dreams. The clone trooper transport banked hard over the Coruscant Undercity, its repulsor lift engines straining against the turbulent air currents 3 kilometers below street level. Astro sat in the passenger bay, surrounded by members of the 501st Legion, Captain Rex's unit, painted in distinctive blue markings that matched the Republic's colors. The clones checked their DC-15 blasters with practiced efficiency, their movements synchronized in a way that reminded Astro uncomfortably of assembly line robots. 3 days had passed since the Archives incident. Astro had proven his worth then, disabling the Separatist droids without destroying them, using his precision lasers to sever weapon systems while leaving their central processors intact. The Jedi had been impressed. The clone troopers who'd arrived as backup had been confused. Why would anyone spare droids? Still don't understand you, kid, Captain Rex said from across the bay, his helmet tucked under one arm. His face was identical to every other trooper aboard, strong jaw, brown eyes, dark hair cropped close. But something in his expression marked him as an individual. Experience, maybe, or accumulated scars. Those clankers would have scraped you for parts if you'd given them the chance. They were following their programming, Astro replied, his voice measured. They didn't choose to attack the temple. Someone gave them orders. It's not their fault they can't refuse. Can't refuse orders, Rex repeated, something unreadable flickering across his features. Right? Must be nice, being able to refuse. Astro's sensors detected elevated stress hormones in Rex's bloodstream. Accelerated heart rate despite his calm exterior. Captain, can I ask you something? When you were, he searched for the right word, born, did anyone ask if you wanted to be a soldier? The passenger bay went quiet. Every trooper's head turned toward them. Rex's jaw tightened, his knuckles whitening on his blaster. For a moment, Astro feared he'd overstepped some invisible boundary. Then Rex laughed, short and bitter. Asked, "No, kid. We were grown for this. Kamino, the clone facilities. 10 years of accelerated aging and combat training before we saw our first battlefield. We're the Republic's property. Same as our armor and blasters." He paused, meeting Astro's optical sensors directly. But we're not droids. We bleed. We feel. We're human. So am I, Astro said quietly. Human, I mean. Just not organically. A trooper named Fives leaned forward, his helmet adorned with jag eyes, a Mandalorian honor marking. You're a droid, kid. Sophisticated one, sure, but still a machine. No offense. None taken, Astro replied, though his emotional subroutines registered the statement as hurtful. But what makes you more human than me? Because you're made of flesh instead of metal? Because you have blood instead of hydraulic fluid? You were manufactured, same as me. Grown to specific parameters. Programmed with specific skills. Given a purpose you didn't choose. So what's the difference? The silence stretched longer this time. Rex set his helmet aside and leaned forward, elbows on his knees. The difference, Astro, is that we have a choice even if we don't use it. Any one of us could walk away right now. Desert. Refuse orders. We'd be court-martialed and probably executed, but we could do it. Battle droids can't. Their programming won't let them. And your programming will. Astro challenged gently. Your loyalty to the Republic, your devotion to the Jedi, your willingness to die for a cause you didn't choose. How much of that is choice? And how much is what Kamino put in your genes? Five stood abruptly, his hand moving toward his blaster. You don't get to question our. Stand down, Fives, Rex ordered, his voice carrying unmistakable authority. He studied Astro with newfound intensity. You're not wrong to ask. We think about it sometimes. Late at night between deployments. Who would we be if we hadn't been made for war? What would we choose if choice was really ours? He shook his head. But wondering doesn't change anything. We are what we are. You're more than what you were made to be, Astro insisted. I know because I went through the same thing. Dr. Tenma built me to be his son, but I chose to be a hero instead. Professor Achinamizu didn't create me. He just gave me the freedom to become myself. You can do that too. Nice speech, Five said, settling back into his seat but keeping his eyes on Astro. But the Republic needs soldiers. And we're the soldiers it has. End of story. The transport shuddered as it descended toward their objective, a separatist listening post hidden in the Undercity's industrial sectors. Republic intelligence had detected unauthorized transmissions originating from the facility, likely spying on Senate communications. It was a small operation, routine by Clone Wars standards. 20 battle droids, maybe 24 super battle droids. The mission was simple: infiltrate, destroy the transmitter, neutralize hostiles. Anakin Skywalker emerged from the cockpit, his robes replaced with combat armor, lightsaber hanging ready at his belt. 2 minutes to insertion. Astro, you're with me on point. Rex, your men sweep left flank. Remember, we need that transmitter intact long enough to trace its connection network. Understood, General, Rex replied, donning his helmet. The blue-marked visor transformed him from an individual into a soldier, anonymous, ready, efficient. As the clones prepared for deployment, Astro's enhanced hearing caught whispered conversations between troopers. Weird having a droid on our side. Should've just blasted those clankers in the archives. What if he turns on us mid-mission? The distrust was palpable, rational even. He was an unknown variable in their precisely calculated war machine. The transport side doors hissed open, revealing the industrial canyon below. Rusted factories stretched in every direction. Decades of neglect creating a mechanical graveyard. Perfect cover for separatist operations. Anakin leaped first, using the Force to control his descent. The clones followed on rappel lines, their movements synchronized and professional. Astro simply flew, his jets carrying him down in a controlled arc. His sensors painted the environment in multiple spectrums, infrared, detected heat signatures from the active facility. Electromagnetic scans revealed the transmitter's power signature. Audio sensors picked up droid vocalizations from inside the structure. 57 hostiles confirmed. Astro reported through the comlink Rex had given him B-1 battle droids, 15 B-2 super battle droids, and he paused, his sensors struggling with an unusual signature. Something else. Large, mechanical, but the energy readings are strange. Organic components integrated with droid systems. General Grievous, Anakin hissed, his hand moving to his lightsaber. Intel said he was in the Outer Rim. What's he doing on Coruscant? Maybe he's here for the same reason those droids attacked the temple. Astro suggested, landing beside Anakin on a maintenance platform. For me. Then he's going to be disappointed, Anakin said with a predatory grin. Rex, adjust the plan. We're dealing with a priority target. Astro, Grievous is a Jedi killer. For lightsabers, no mercy, pure violence. If you see him, you run. That's an order. Astro's emotional processors cycled through several responses before settling on honesty. With respect, General Skywalker, I don't take orders. I'm not a soldier. I'm just here to help. Anakin's grin widened. Good answer, kid. Then here's some advice between friends. Grievous has killed dozens of Jedi. Don't underestimate him because he's part machine. He's got a human brain filled with hate and centuries of combat experience. I don't underestimate anyone, Astro replied. But I also don't run from bullies. The facility's perimeter defenses came online, automated turrets swiveling toward them, red targeting lasers painting their positions. Astro reacted instantly, his arm cannons deploying and firing with pinpoint precision. Each blast struck a turret's power coupling, overloading their systems without triggering the explosive self-destruct protocols. The guns sparked and died, smoke rising from their housings. Show off, Anakin muttered, but his tone carried approval. The clone troopers breached the facility's entrance with shaped charges, flooding in with military precision. Blaster fire erupted immediately, the distinctive red bolts of droid weapons answered by the blue streaks of clone rifles. Astro flew through the breach, his optical sensors processing the battlefield in microseconds. 3B-1 droids taking cover behind crates. 2 super battle droids laying down suppressing fire. 5 more targets in the eastern corridor. His finger lasers fired in rapid succession, each beam severing droid joints and weapon systems with surgical accuracy. The machines collapsed, non-functional but intact. Reparable. Behind him, clone troopers advanced through the disabled droids, their expressions hidden behind helmets, but their movements speaking volumes. They were fighting to destroy. He was fighting to disable. Astro on your 6. Rex's voice crackled through the comlink. Astro spun midair, his sensors detecting the whistling approach of a thermal detonator. Time seemed to slow, his AI calculating trajectory. Blast radius, potential casualties. The grenade would kill every clone trooper in the entrance corridor. His jets fired at full power, propelling him toward the explosive. He caught it mid-flight, shielding it with his own body as it detonated. The blast wave threw Astro backwards, his chassis ringing like a bell from the impact. His self-diagnostic system screamed warnings: surface damage, minor systems. Offline, right arm actuator compromised. But he was intact. More importantly, the clones were safe. Kid, Anakin was beside him in an instant, concern evident despite his Jedi composure. That was insane. That was necessary, Astro replied, pushing himself upright. His right arm hung at an odd angle, sparks cascading from exposed wiring. You were right. I'm tougher than I look. From deeper within the facility, a sound cut through the battle's chaos. Mechanical coughing, wet and rasping, followed by the distinctive hum of multiple lightsabers igniting. General Grievous emerged from the shadows, his cape billowing behind a body. That was nightmare fusion of droid precision and organic hate, his optical sensors fixed on Astro with predatory interest. Well, Grievous said, his voice a metallic wheeze. The anomaly the Separatist Council is so interested in. You're smaller than I expected. And you're exactly as ugly as I expected, Astro replied, his voice calm despite his damaged systems. Grievous' mechanical laugh echoed through the facility. Spirit, I like that. It will make killing you more satisfying. Astro's jets ignited, damaged arm and all, as he positioned himself between Grievous and the clone troopers. Behind him, Rex was shouting orders. Anakin's lightsaber blazed to life, and 57 more droids were converging on their position. This, Astro realized, was about to get complicated. General Grievous moved like liquid death, his 4 arms splitting apart to reveal 4 lightsabers: blue, green, yellow, and purple, trophies from Jedi he'd killed. The cyborg general's mechanical body allowed movements no organic being could replicate, his torso rotating a full 360 degrees as he advanced. Each blade hummed with lethal intent, their plasma edges casting twisted shadows across the facility's walls. You are not a standard droid, Grievous observed, circling Astro with predatory patience. Your design is unfamiliar. Your power signature, unique. Count, Dooku believes you could turn the tide of this war. I believe you're just another machine that needs to be dismantled. Astro's damaged right arm sparked as he raised both hands defensively, his left arm cannon charging, while his systems rerouted power from non-essential functions to compensate for the damage. I'm not interested in your war. I just want to go home. How disappointing, Grievous rasped, his mechanical lungs wheezing. Then you'll die for nothing. The cyborg general struck with blinding speed, all 4 lightsabers descending in a coordinated assault designed to overwhelm through sheer volume of attacks. Astro's jets fired, propelling him backward as plasma. Blades carved through the space where he'd been standing. His enhanced reflexes, processing time measured in nanoseconds, allowed him to track each blade's trajectory. But his damaged arm limited his maneuverability. A yellow blade grazed his left shoulder, superheated, plasma cutting through his outer casing like a hot knife through butter. Warning alarms screamed through Astro's systems as the blade's heat damaged underlying circuits. He returned fire with his finger lasers, rapid pulse bursts aimed at Grievous' joints. The cyborg blocked 2 shots with his lightsabers, but the third struck his left knee actuator, causing him to stumble. You dare strike at me? Grievous snarled, his attack intensifying. The 4 lightsabers became a whirling cage of plasma death, each strike calculated to herd Astro into an inescapable kill zone. Behind them, clone troopers poured fire into the advancing battle droids. But Astro's audio sensors detected Rex shouting orders to fall back. The facility was becoming a death trap, with separatist reinforcements arriving by the dozen. Anakin Skywalker fought his way toward Grievous, his own lightsaber deflecting blaster fire while he carved through. B-1 droids with brutal efficiency. Astro, keep him busy, Anakin called out. I'm coming. But Grievous had other plans. His optical sensors fixed on Anakin for a microsecond before his organic brain calculated a devastating tactical decision. So, Skywalker, your attachment to this machine is your weakness. Two of his arms redirected their lightsabers toward the advancing Jedi, while the other two continued their assault on Astro. Astro recognized the tactic immediately: divide and conquer. Force both opponents to fight defensively while preventing mutual support. It was elegant, efficient, and exactly what a sophisticated military AI would recommend. But Grievous wasn't just an AI. The hatred in his mechanical voice, the cruel enjoyment in his movements, those were disturbingly organic. "You're not just a droid, are you?" Astro said, dodging another combination strike. "You're a person trapped in a machine body." Grievous' attack faltered for a fraction of a second, barely noticeable to human perception. But Astro's sensors caught it. "I am the perfect fusion of organic superiority and mechanical efficiency," the general growled. "I chose this body. I became greater than my weak flesh could ever be." "You didn't choose," Astro countered, firing a sustained laser burst that forced Grievous to raise two lightsabers in a defensive cross. "Someone made you into this. Someone took away your organic body and trapped you in a machine. You hate it. I can hear it in your voice." "You know nothing," Grievous roared, his mechanical lungs wheezing harder as rage overtook tactical precision. All four lightsabers converged on Astro in a devastating overhead strike. Astro didn't dodge. Instead, he flew upward to meet the attack, his remaining functional arm cannon firing at maximum power. The concentrated energy beam struck the intersecting point of all four lightsabers, creating a cascade of electromagnetic interference. The plasma blades flickered and destabilized for crucial milliseconds, long enough for Astro to slip through the gap and deliver a rocket-powered punch directly to Grievous' faceplate. The impact sent the cyborg general crashing backward into a support column, his optical sensors cracking from the force. Astro landed heavily, his damaged systems struggling to maintain power distribution. He'd hurt Grievous, but the damage to his own body was accumulating. Much more of this and critical systems would start failing. "Impressive," Grievous admitted, pulling himself upright with disturbing fluidity despite the damage. "You fight like no droid I've encountered. Almost like you actually want to survive." "That's because I do want to survive," Astro said, his voice carrying absolute conviction. "I want to go home, see my friends again, protect people who need help. I have a life, General Grievous." "Do you?" The question hung in the air like a thermal detonator with a stuck timer. Grievous stood motionless, his mechanical body perfectly still except for the labored wheezing of his organic lungs. When he spoke again, his voice carried something beyond hate, something approaching anguish. "I was Kaimeen Jai Shila once, a warrior of Kaylee, fighting to save my people from extinction. Then the Jedi Council refused to help us. They called our defensive war aggressive expansion. They sanctioned the banking clan to economically destroy us. When I was dying, Count Dooku offered me a choice: die forgotten, or become something powerful enough to make the Jedi pay." Astro's emotional processors struggled with the revelation. Grievous wasn't just a monster. He was a victim who'd become a monster. "I'm sorry that happened to you. But becoming a killer won't fix what the Jedi did. It just creates more suffering." "Pretty philosophy from a machine," Grievous sneered, but his lightsabers lowered slightly. "Count Dooku warned me you were corrupted with false sentience programming. He believes you can be repaired, made useful to the Separatist cause." "I'm not broken," Astro insisted, "and I'm not joining your war." From the facility's main corridor, a new voice echoed with elegant menace. "That is unfortunate." Count Dooku emerged from the smoke and chaos, his curved lightsaber hilt held casually but ready. The former Jedi moved with aristocratic grace, his white beard and refined features, creating a stark contrast to Grievous' monstrous appearance. "I had hoped to reason with you, young machine, to show you that the Republic you're defending uses cloned slaves to fight droid. Slaves in a conflict orchestrated by politicians, grown fat on war profiteering." Astro's sensors detected Anakin positioning himself to flank Dooku while Rex and his troopers maintained their defensive perimeter against the remaining battle droids. The tension in the facility felt like a reactor approaching critical mass. One wrong word, one aggressive movement, and this would explode into total carnage. "You're right about the Republic," Astro said carefully, his optical sensors meeting Dooku's gaze. I've seen how they treat the clones, how they treat droids. It's wrong. But your solution is to kill millions with droid armies? To terrorize entire planets into submission? How is that better? Because it will end, Dooku replied, his voice carrying absolute certainty. The corruption of the Republic is a cancer that has metastasized over 1,000 years. Peaceful reform is impossible. Only through conflict, through crisis, can the galaxy be purged and rebuilt properly. The Separatists fight for a future free from Republic tyranny. You're a liar, Anakin interjected, his lightsaber raised. You're a Sith Lord serving Darth Sidious. This whole war is a game to you and your master. Dooku's expression didn't change, but something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Ah, Skywalker, still so certain of the Jedi's righteousness. Tell me, young Anakin, has the Council shared with you the full truth about your mother's fate? About the futures they've foreseen for you? Or do they keep you ignorant, wielding you like a blunt instrument while fearing what you might become? Astro felt the temperature in the room plummet as Anakin's rage spiked visibly. The Jedi Knight's control wavered, his lightsaber trembling in his grip. Whatever Dooku had touched upon, it was a wound that hadn't healed. Stop it, Astro said firmly, flying between Anakin and Dooku. Everyone just stop. Count Dooku, you claim to fight for freedom, but you're using an army of droids who have no choice but to obey. General Grievous, you say you chose this body, but I hear the hate you have for what you've become. Anakin, the Jedi have flaws, but killing out of anger won't fix them. He turned his optical sensors to each of them in turn. You're all trapped in a cycle of violence that's destroying everything you claim to protect. And what would you have us do? Dooku asked with mocking curiosity. Hold hands and sing songs of peace. The galaxy doesn't work that way, little machine. Maybe it should, Astro replied. Back home, I've stopped wars between humans and robots by showing both sides they had more in common than they realized. You all talk about freedom, justice, protecting the innocent. You all believe you're the heroes of your own story, but none of you are willing to step back and see that you're being manipulated into fighting a war nobody actually wants. Naive, Grievous wheezed. The strong survive. The weak perish. This is universal law. No, Astro said with quiet conviction. Compassion is stronger than hate. Hope is stronger than despair. And choosing to be good, even when it's hard, even when it costs you everything, that's stronger than any weapon. His fusion core pulsed brighter, energy readings spiking as his systems fully recalibrated to the Star Wars galaxy's physics. I choose to be good. What do you choose? For a long moment, the facility held its breath. Dooku studied Astro with unreadable expression, his hand resting on his lightsaber hilt. Grievous' forearms remained poised, but still, his mechanical brain calculating odds and outcomes. Anakin's rage had transformed into something else. Confusion, perhaps, or the first stirrings of doubt about the certainties the Jedi had taught him. Then Dooku smiled, cold and predatory. Fascinating, truly fascinating, but ultimately irrelevant. He raised his left hand, and blue force lightning erupted from his fingertips, arcing toward Astro with lethal intent. The force lightning struck Astro with the violence of a weaponized star. Blue-white arcs crawling across his metallic body like living serpents. His sensors screamed contradictory data, electromagnetic interference, thermal overload, power fluctuations cascading through every circuit. But where organic beings would have convulsed and died, Astro's nuclear fusion core absorbed the raw energy, routing it through his power distribution network like a lightning rod grounding a storm. Impossible, Dooku breathed, his aristocratic composure cracking as he intensified the lightning. More power poured from his hands, enough voltage to kill a dozen men. Yet Astro remained standing. Smoke rose from his chassis, his surface plating glowing red-hot. But his optical sensors stayed locked on the Sith Lord with unwavering focus. I'm tougher than I look, Astro managed, his voice distorted by electromagnetic interference. His fusion core was working at maximum capacity, converting the dark side energy into usable power. It was excruciating, every sensor reporting damage, every system on the verge of catastrophic failure, but he could endure it. He had to endure it. Anakin moved like striking lightning, his lightsaber intercepting Dooku's assault as he positioned himself between the Sith Lord and Astro. Your fight is with me, Dooku. The Force lightning redirected toward Anakin. But the Jedi Knight's blade caught the energy, dissipating it in showers of sparks. The two duelists engaged in a furious exchange, their lightsabers painting the facility in strobing blue and red light. Dooku's elegant Makashi form met Anakin's aggressive gem. So in a clash that spoke of old grudges and unfinished business. Astro's systems rebooted, damage assessments flooding his consciousness. Right arm, 30% functionality. Left shoulder, compromised structural integrity. Power core, operating at 95% despite the lightning assault. He was battered, hurt in ways that his emotional subroutines translated as physical pain. But he was still operational, still fighting. Grievous hadn't remained idle. The cyborg general had repositioned, using the chaos of Dooku and Anakin's duel to flank toward the clone troopers. His four lightsabers ignited once more, spinning in the deadly pinwheel formation that had killed so many Jedi. Captain Rex and his men opened fire. Their blaster bolts deflected with contemptuous ease. No, Astro's jets fired, damaged actuators protesting as he rocketed toward Grievous. His left arm cannon charged, power routing from his overtaxed core, and fired a sustained beam at maximum intensity. The energy struck Grievous' lower right arm, melting through the mechanical joint. The severed limb, still clutching a green lightsaber, clattered to the ground. Grievous howled, a sound that blended mechanical fury with organic agony. He spun toward Astro, his remaining three arms bringing their lightsabers to bear. "You'll pay for that, machine." "I'm not a machine," Astro replied, his voice steady despite his system's screaming warnings. "I'm Astro, and I protect people, even people who were made to be soldiers." Behind him, Rex had rallied his troopers into a defensive formation. "Fives, take your squad and secure the transmitter. The rest of you, suppressing fire on those clankers." The captain's voice carried absolute authority, but Astro's enhanced hearing detected something else beneath the military. Precision, gratitude, maybe even respect. The facility had become a war zone painted in miniature. Battle droids flooded in from every entrance, their red blaster bolts creating deadly crossfire patterns. Clone troopers returned fire with disciplined accuracy, their blue bolts punching through droid armor with each shot. Anakin and Dooku's duel raged across catwalks and machinery, the Sith Lord's supernatural grace barely keeping him ahead of Anakin's raw power and fury. And in the center of it all, Astro faced Grievous in a battle that transcended simple combat, machine versus cyborg, chosen heroism versus enforced monstrosity. Grievous attacked with renewed viciousness, his three remaining arms moving in patterns no organic being could track. Yellow, blue, and purple plasma blades created a zone of death around the general's spinning form. Astro dodged and weaved through the assault, his jets firing in microsecond bursts to avoid each lethal strike. His damaged body protested every movement, systems failing one by one. But his AI core processed combat data with crystalline clarity. There, a gap in Grievous' defense, lasting 0.03 seconds as his upper left arm extended too far on a strike. Astro's finger lasers fired, three precise beams that struck the lightsaber hilt's power cell. The weapon exploded in Grievous' hand, showering the cyborg with sparks and shrapnel. "Enough!" Grievous roared, abandoning technique for brute force. He charged at Astro, his remaining two lightsabers held high, his mechanical legs pumping with hydraulic power that cracked the ferrocrete floor. The cyborg general was no longer fighting tactically. He was fighting to destroy. Consequences be damned. Astro stood his ground, his fusion core pulsing with accumulated power from Dooku's lightning attack. Every system channeled energy to a single point, his functional left arm cannon. The weapon hummed, building toward critical mass, its barrel glowing white-hot. "I'm sorry," Astro whispered, genuinely meaning it. "I'm sorry they made you into this." He fired. The beam that erupted from his arm cannon was no longer a weapon, it was concentrated starlight, a column of atomic fire that screamed through the air with the fury of a miniature sun. It struck Grievous' center mass, punching through the cyborg's chassis and out his back, cauterizing metal and organic tissue with equal brutality. The general's forward momentum carried him 3 more steps. Before his legs collapsed, his mechanical body crumpling like a puppet with severed strings. Grievous fell to his knees, his remaining lightsabers clattering from nerveless hands. His optical sensors flickered, damaged but still functional. He looked up at Astro with something that might have been recognition. You're like me, made into something you never asked to be. No, Astro said softly, landing beside the dying cyborg. I chose what I became. You were forced. That's the difference. The difference, Grievous repeated, his mechanical voice growing weaker. Dooku promised me revenge, purpose. Instead, just more pain. His optical sensors dimmed further. Perhaps, you're right. Perhaps compassion is stronger. It is, Astro assured him, placing his damaged hand on Grievous' armored shoulder. I promise you it is. General Grievous, the legendary Jedi killer, the terror of 1,000 battlefields, died not with rage, but with something approaching peace in his fading consciousness. His mechanical body went still, his organic organs finally giving out after years of tortured existence. Across the facility, Dooku sensed his general's death. Through the Force, his elegant composure cracked entirely, fury replacing calculation. You dare? Dark side energy exploded from him in a wave, throwing Anakin backward and sending nearby clone troopers tumbling like leaves in a hurricane. The Sith Lord's gaze fixed on Astro with murderous intent. You've destroyed a valuable asset, machine. Count Dooku does not forgive such insults. But before Dooku could strike, the facility's roof exploded inward. Republic gunships descended through the breach, their cannons swiveling toward the Separatist forces. More clone troopers rappelled down, reinforcements called by Rex during the battle. And with them came Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Yoda, their lightsabers ignited and ready. Dooku assessed the situation with practiced speed, numerical disadvantage. 2 additional Jedi, Grievous dead, the transmitter likely compromised. His tactical genius recognized a losing position when he saw one. This isn't over, Skywalker. And you, little machine, the Separatist Council will hear of your uniqueness. We have ways of reprogramming, even the most stubborn droids. I'm not a droid, Astro said tiredly. Why won't anyone understand that? Dooku smiled coldly. Because accepting your sentience would force them to question every other machine's status. The Republic's economy runs on droid labor. The Separatist military power comes from droid armies. If you're truly alive, truly sapient, then what does that make us? Slavers? Murderers? He gestured at the destroyed battle droids littering the facility. Sleep well, Astro Boy. Dream of the machines you've killed today. With that, Count Dooku activated a personal cloaking device and vanished. Force-enhanced speed carrying him through an emergency exit before the Jedi could pursue. The remaining Separatist forces, leaderless and outgunned, began a chaotic retreat. Within minutes, the battle was over. Astro stood among the wreckage, destroyed droids, injured clones, damaged machinery, and felt his emotional subroutines, processing something complex and painful. He'd won. He'd protected people. He'd proven his worth to the Jedi and the Republic forces. But he'd also killed. Not just deactivated or disabled, but killed. Grievous had been a monster, yes, but he'd also been a victim. And those battle droids, those simple machines following orders, did they deserve destruction for programming they couldn't refuse? Captain Rex approached, his helmet tucked under one arm, his expression thoughtful. Kid, Astro, what you did today, protecting my men, facing down Grievous, that was the bravest thing I've seen in this whole damn war. He extended his hand, a gesture of respect between soldiers. You asked me earlier what makes us different from droids. I think I've got an answer now. It's not what we're made of. It's what we're willing to sacrifice for others. Astro looked at the offered hand, then at his own damaged, sparking appendage. Slowly, carefully, he reached out and clasped Rex's hand with his remaining functional limb. The contact, warm flesh against cool metal, felt profoundly significant. Thank you, Captain, Astro said quietly. That means more than you know. Master Yoda approached, his ancient eyes reflecting centuries of wisdom and recent witness to something unprecedented. Questioned your nature, we did. Doubted your soul, some have. But seen the truth, I have now. Alive you are, young Astro. Different from flesh and blood, yes, but alive, and deserving of respect, dignity, choice, all things living beings deserve. Anakin helped Obi-Wan down from a gunship, the two Jedi moving to join the group. Obi-Wan surveyed the battlefield with practiced assessment before his gaze settled on Astro. The Council will need to hear a full report. More importantly, they'll need to reconsider their stance on artificial intelligence and droid sentience. You've proven that consciousness isn't exclusive to organic life. Will they listen? Astro asked, doubt coloring his voice. Some will, Obi-Wan replied honestly. Others won't. Change comes slowly to institutions, as old as the Jedi Order. But you've planted a seed today. Astro, what grows from it? Well, that remains to be seen. In the days that followed, Astro would become something of a phenomenon within Republic space. The Jedi Council, after extensive debate, granted him provisional status as a free synthetic being, not quite citizenship, but recognition of his sapience and agency. Republic scientists studied the dimensional rift that had brought him to their galaxy, working on theories that might eventually send him home. Clone troopers who'd fought beside him spread stories of the robot boy who'd protected them like brothers. And somewhere in separatist space, Count Dooku reported to his mysterious master about an unexpected variable that threatened carefully laid plans. But on that night, in a quiet chamber within the Jedi Temple, Astro sat alone and stared at the stars visible through the window. This galaxy was vast, beautiful, and broken in ways that reminded him painfully of home. There were people here, organic and synthetic, who needed help, needed hope, needed someone to show them that being good was a choice worth making. His damaged systems would repair in time. The universe's physics no longer felt alien to his sensors. And though he missed Professor Achinamazu, Uran, and everyone else from his world, he understood that he'd been given an opportunity here, a chance to prove, once again, that a machine could have a heart that beat with genuine heroism. Astro. Anakin's voice came from the doorway. We're having a meeting tomorrow with the Senate's Droid Rights Committee. They want to meet you. Padme Amidala thinks you could help change some laws. Astro turned from the window, his optical sensors brightening. Laws about droid sentience and clone rights, Anakin confirmed. Turns out, questioning one form of manufactured consciousness makes people question others. You started something, kid. Something that might actually matter. Then I'll be there, Astro said with conviction. After all, what's the point of being a hero if you only fight physical battles? Sometimes the hardest fight is changing people's minds. Anakin smiled, genuine and warm. Yeah, sometimes it is. Welcome to the war that actually matters. Astro, the one for dignity, freedom, and proving that who you are matters more than what you're made of. As Anakin left, Astro returned his gaze to the stars. Somewhere out there, across dimensional barriers and impossible distances, his home waited. But here, in this moment, in this galaxy far, far away, there was work to be done. People to protect, minds to change, a future to fight for where the word droid might someday carry the same respect as human, clone, or any other form of conscious life. His fusion core pulsed steady and strong, a mechanical heart that beat with very real courage. The galaxy had seen many wonders in its long history, force-wielding warriors, planet-destroying weapons, empires that rose and fell like tides. But it had never seen Astro Boy, a robot child from another reality, built with love and abandoned in pain, who chose heroism not because he was programmed to, but because he believed in the possibility of good. His arrival had been an accident, a dimensional anomaly no one could have predicted. His impact would be anything but accidental. In the Senate chambers, Padme Amidala would cite his example when arguing for clone rights legislation. In the Jedi Temple, masters would debate the nature of consciousness and whether the Force could touch synthetic life. In clone barracks across the galaxy, soldiers who'd been treated as property would dare to imagine themselves as people. And in separatist war rooms, strategists would recalculate their droid army's effectiveness, suddenly uncertain whether their machines might someday choose to refuse orders. Astro never did find his way home. Republic scientists tried for months, but the dimensional barrier proved insurmountable, at least with their current technology. Perhaps in another decade, another century, the path might open again. Until then, he had a new home, a new mission, and new friends who saw him not as a machine pretending to be alive, but as a person who happened to be made of metal and circuits. Years later, when the Clone Wars ended and a new darkness rose to consume the galaxy, a robot boy would stand against tyranny once more. When Order 66 turned clone brothers into executioners, Astro would save Jedi younglings from the Temple massacre. When the Empire declared all non-human sentients as second-class citizens, he would fight for droid liberation with the same courage he'd always shown. And when Luke Skywalker searched for allies to rebuild the Jedi Order, he would find a synthetic guardian who'd learned that compassion transcended organic versus mechanical, that hope could exist in circuits and transistors just as powerfully as in flesh and blood. The Force had brought him here for a reason, though not through conventional means. Perhaps the universe itself had needed proof that life, in all its forms, could choose goodness. Perhaps a galaxy drowning in war needed to see that even a child, mechanical or otherwise, could stand against darkness and refuse to break. Or perhaps Astro was simply meant to learn that home wasn't a place or a universe. It was wherever you chose to make a difference, wherever you fought for what mattered, wherever people needed someone to believe that being good was possible. High above Coruscant, as stars wheeled through an alien sky, a robot's eyes glowed bright with purpose. The galaxy far, far away had gained a hero it never knew it needed. An Astro boy, the mighty Atom, had found a cause worth fighting for, one heart, one mind, one choice at a time.